Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to yield my time to Representative Massey.
I thank the gentleman from North Dakota. Wow, the irony and cognitive dissonance from the other side of the aisle, it's deafening. You could cut it with a knife. They are at the same time denying that censorship is occurring, but suggesting that there's more material that needs to be censored. This is a hearing on censorship that began with an effort, with a formal motion from the other side of the aisle to censor Mr. Kennedy. They do not want him to speak, yet that is the topic of this hearing. They have kept him from speaking. A collusion between the government and private organizations. Mr. Kennedy, in your opening statement, you introduced us to this word malinformation. Can you tell us more about this made-up word, what it means, and some of the things that you've said or tried to say that you've been censored for that's been characterized as malinformation?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to America Patriots, the channel where freedom gets a microphone, common sense gets a seat at the table, and coffee is always proudly American and probably too strong. Before we dive in, make sure you smash that subscribe button like it's a stack of government paperwork you don't want to read. Hit like, comment, ring that bell, not just because it helps the channel, but because every time you do, somewhere a bald eagle lets out a single majestic tear. And folks, freedom needs those tears. All right.
Yes, Congressman Massey, and if by your leave, I'd like to just respond briefly to some of the what I would call defamations that have been just applied to me by the ranking member. I'm happy to talk to you about my opinions on these issues, what you have stated and tried to associate me with through guilt by association is simply inaccurate. Virtually everything, every statement that you just made about me is inaccurate. I have never advised Black Americans not to receive vaccines. At one point you say I'm anti-vax, and that's a bad thing. The other moment you point out that all my children are vaxxed. I'm fully compliant with the vaccine schedule myself, except for COVID. I took flu vaccines for 20 years straight. I have never been anti-vax. I have never told the public avoid vaccination. You tried to associate me a moment ago with the replacement theory, which is racist.
No, I did not say you.
Time belongs to the gentleman.
I said my colleagues.
Time belongs to the gentleman from.
I denounce that theory. It is racist, and I have never endorsed it or had any association with it. Our film on a medical, by the way, Bill Buxton, who is the Black CDC official who ultimately exposed the Tuskegee experiment, tried for years and years to appeal to CDC to stop it for 40 years. Finally, he got relief by walking into my uncle's office in the building next door. Teddy held hearings and ended the experiment. I remember that very well. And to say that I created a film that encourages Blacks not to get adequate medical care is just completely abhorrent.
Don't misuse my words.
It's the witness's time. Do not censor the witness.
I'm not censoring the witness. I'm not censoring the witness. He's still talking.
It's my time, and I've given it to the witness. Do not censor him.
I'm not censoring him.
If the views that you and others have applied to me, I've attributed to me, if they were actually true, I can see why I shouldn't be able to testify here today. Those are not true. These are defamations and malignancies that are used to censor me, to prevent people from listening to the actual things that I'm saying. And I think, ranking member, that we should have a real conversation rather than an exchange of ad hominem attacks.
So today we're reacting to this congressional hearing where Representative Massey and RFK Jr. tag-teamed against what looked like the Olympics of irony happening on the other side of the aisle. I mean, you couldn't script this stuff. If Hollywood tried, the writers would quit and say, nah, this is too unrealistic. So Massey starts off basically saying, hey guys, you can't claim censorship does exist while also demanding more of it. And honestly, he's right. It's like saying your diet is going great while you're elbow deep in a bucket of fried chicken. It just doesn't line up. The whole hearing is supposed to be about censorship, and the first thing they try to do is censor the witness. You can't make this up. Then RFK Jr. gets asked about this magical word, malinformation. And let me tell you, that word sounds like something a committee invented at 2 a.m. after too much decaf. Misinformation wasn't enough. Disinformation wasn't enough. No. They had to go for the deluxe edition. Malinformation. The evil twin of information. Information with a mustache. We're talking Saturday morning cartoon villain stuff. Kennedy then starts responding to all these accusations that were thrown at him. And honestly, whether you agree with him or not, the man handled it calmly, which is impressive because if someone put words in my mouth like that, I'd be looking around for the world's biggest fact-checker megaphone. He goes down the list. No, he's not anti-vaccine. Yes, he followed the schedule. Yes, his kids are vaccinated. He took flu shots for like 20 years straight. That's more dedication than most of us have to our gym memberships. The guy even says he's never told anyone to avoid vaccines. And yet somehow, according to the other side, he's a poster child of anti-vaccine rebellion. It's wild. Then comes the replacement theory accusation, which he completely shuts down. He calls it racist, says he's never endorsed it, never been associated with it. And honestly, the way he said it felt like the verbal equivalent of tossing a filing cabinet full of bad takes right out the window. Then he brings up his film about the Tuskegee experiment. And let me tell you, that's a serious topic. He talks about Bill Buxton, the black CDC official who blew the whistle by taking the truth straight to the Kennedy administration. That's history worth knowing. And to twist that into encouraging black Americans to avoid medical care? Yeah, I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. That's a stretch worthy of the Olympic gymnastics team. And then we get this back and forth where someone tries to cut him off while Massey is like, nope, it's his time. Let him talk. And honestly, good. Because if the topic is censorship and you don't let the witness speak, you might need to reevaluate your strategy. Kennedy wraps up by saying these false labels and distorted portrayals are being used to justify censoring him. And whether you like the guy or not, that's a fair point. If people don't get to hear someone's actual words, only the funhouse mirror version of them, how are we supposed to have a real conversation in this country? Spoiler alert, we can't. And look, as a right-wing patriot, here's my take. Free speech isn't a left or right issue. It's an American issue. You don't have to agree with Kennedy on everything. Heck, you don't have to agree with him on anything. But silencing people, twisting their words, and then patting yourself on the back like you saved the country from dangerous ideas, that's not how freedom works. Freedom is messy. Freedom is loud. Freedom means sometimes you listen to stuff you don't like, and then you debate it like grown adults, hopefully with coffee involved. So if you believe in open debate, in sunlight being the best disinfectant, and in Congress doing less interrupting and more listening, you're in the right place, my friends. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Drop a comment telling me what moment made your eyebrows launch into orbit. And don't forget to subscribe to America Patriots. Well, we don't censor, we don't sugarcoat, and the only thing we fact-check is whether the Constitution is still awesome. It is. Spoiler. See you in the next one, Patriots. Stay free, stay funny, stay loud. United States.